think it's important to remember two things as a parent. One, chronic stress can affect children greatly. We often think of chronic stress in adults, maybe going through an illness or, a family member suffering and so on. But there are a lot of studies to show that chronic stress in childhood has long-term effects. And we also know, looking at the brain, that boys and girls will respond to that stress very differently. So with males, we see the front of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, is activated. And this is more linked to the fight or flight syndrome. And so this may also link into poor, risky decisions, more likely for the males. But for females, the part of the brain that's more activated is the limbic system, which is the emotional brain. So they follow the system of tend and befriend. They want to be around people to cope with that stress. So as a parent, it's important to keep in mind that, first of all, chronic stress can affect children. And second of all, if you have a son or daughter, they're going to respond differently and they're going to need to cope with that stress very differently.
And at the end of a season, did your child get better at the position?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big part of it. Really, that's it.
Did
Were
they have
they
fun?
coachable? Were they coachable? Yeah, did they have fun? Those are really the takeaways, not points, not assists, not that.
Sure, and I think a big thing to keep in mind too is, even from their own personal development, is how do they deal with failure? And a lot of times it's difficult for children, especially when you look at gifted or high achieving children. Failure is never an option for them. So they tend to do one of two things. They tend to avoid activities in which they feel they won't succeed. So they may say, oh, that's too hard, I can't do it, and disengage as a result. Or they may just break down altogether when they have just the slightest bit of failure. And so as a parent, if you have an athletic kid or naturally gifted child, you need to keep your eye on how they're responding to failure and give them the right guidance to actually work through that.
Well, thank you so much. We always learn a great deal when you're on. To learn more about Tracy, go to her website, tracyalloway.com. Stick around, more to come right after this.